What's up, everybody? We are the Leg Kick Podcast. Actually, we're the Bellator MMA podcast. To my left is Scott Coker. To my right, John McCarthy. And, I'm your host, former UFC lightweight champion, Josh Thompson, everybody. Might as well be, because the only thing remotely interesting, going on this past weekend was a Bellator card. We thought last week was phoning it in. Ladies and gentlemen, the UFC has reinvented the term phoning it in. Norma Dumont in a main event? Aspen Ladd? Eat your heart out, everybody. I'm one of your hosts, Stefano Hosko, MMA fighter, MMA analyst. Analyst? How do you say that? Anyways, Michael Asiffo, correspondent for Fan 620, current MMA fighter, wearing his Muay Thai Ontario shirt. Mike, say hi to the good people.
First of all, it's Muay Thai.
Okay, anyways, next up, NCAA football player. A man who didn't get enough sleep last night. I know he didn't get enough sleep last night. And our boxing correspondent, Jeremy Asiffo. Say hi to the good people.
You got to say.
Anyways, moving along. You like how I just did you guys dirty this morning?
Yeah, fuck you.
Yeah.
It's not the morning, crazy person.
Yeah.
It's not what?
It's not morning time.
You're right. It's not. My dog kept me up all night last night with shitting his brains out. He shit all over the stairs of my apartment. It was a disaster.
Oh, you had to clean that?
Yes, I did.
He ate the wrong thing.
Yeah, he is allergic to dog food with chicken in it.
Oh.
So, ironically, now we're feeding him chicken and rice. And he's eating better than I am.
Oh, you learned something new about your dog.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Take care of your pets, everybody.
Take care of your pets, and they will take care of you.
Yeah, interesting story about that. I remember one time. We'll get to it in story time, I guess. We'll use our fantastic transitions. Speaking of transitions,
it's time for some news. It is time for some, as the Russians call it, news. You ready? Transition. Go. Let's get into the news and views of the week. All right. So, first up, and we'll lead with the Conor McGregor news. Conor McGregor just keeps getting crazier and crazier. He's in Rome right now. He punched this Italian DJ in the face. They were partying together. Apparently, it was completely unprovoked. They were planning on going somewhere else. DJ's like, okay, let's go. McGregor punches him, breaks his nose. Guy falls over a table. People are restraining him, and the guy's like, yeah, don't hang out with this dude. He's nuts. He's violent. He'll attack you unprovoked. Conor McGregor, not a good guy. not a very good guy.
Man, who knows? Who knew? This is so out of character. Oh wait, no, it's not. This is pretty on brand for him.
Wait, he's just absolute scum.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he just keeps getting worse and worse, though. Like, before you can play it off as drunken antics, the man's gone full circle from anti-hero to absolute villain and liability, for that matter.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's crazy what Habib said it best. Money doesn't change you. It only makes you it only shows a clear reflection of what you are, and maybe there are some signs that in hindsight we could see better, as like saying, no, this guy is got a problem, like the time he went into the stands and was yelling in Jose Aldo's face.
Yeah, or when he called Dennis Seaver a Nazi, or we all thought it was fun and games, or when he brought up Javier Dos Anjos' children. I mean, guy's a scumbag, and it's unfortunate, but he's probably not going to see any repercussions until it gets a hell of a lot worse. But assaulting random people, let's be honest, this is pretty bad.
Yeah. Jeremy, any thoughts?
I saw from day one. Yeah, I don't know. Actually, I do know. I'm not quick to call anybody a scumbag, but he's
I mean, this
definitely
is
not
his
somebody
second time randomly assaulting someone, though.
he's definitely not someone I would want to hang out with. Yeah.
I've heard some crazy unconfirmed stories about this guy. More than the ones that I've told you guys, but I'll tell you off air. But stuff that would be indicative of this kind of thing. Yeah.
Hey, fair enough. Like, I mean, I don't want to keep talking about Conor McGregor. So,
Sad week. Yeah, we've got other people to talk shit about because John Jones kicked out of Jackson Wink after the whole domestic abuse situation.
yeah.
Now, I am done at this point saying that people just don't like John Jones because he's black. He gets away with similar things too. He's done similar things as Conor McGregor. I think this surpasses it by flying.
Yeah, no,
and I think he's going to emerge with it with little repercussions, other than, of course, being kicked out of his gym, which, you know, mad respect to Mike Winklejohn for making that call. Ironically, it'll probably be good for his career in the long run because it seems like Jackson Wink is taking a big downturn, especially according to fighters there. But good on them for standing by their principles and fuck John Jones.
Yeah. There's like a feedback in the back. Give me 1 second.
You need a cup of coffee? Come on.
Let's see.
I'm loaded in sleep last night. Let's get that energy going.
All right. Okay. So sorry about that. But yeah, I would say I'm with you on the idea of like a racial kind of divide. In the sense that, you know, unfortunately, unfortunately is the right word for it. But yeah, unfortunately, domestic violence is indiscriminate and, you know, statistically, and unfortunately, you know, people tend to, depending on the cases of it, generally, if you're rich, if you have influence, if you're affluent, you tend to get away with it. And
famous. So, this is a bridge too far. And the fact that, you know, battered wife syndrome is a thing. And, you know, we're not psychologists, but clearly something's going on if you've been beaten to a pulp and you're not willing to prosecute against your husband because of, you know, the whole abuse cycle and how that works. And I don't need to tell you guys about that. John Jones is a fucking scumbag.
Yeah. What I will say though is if someone maintains innocence of, hey, I did not, and there is a case coming out, and I would let somebody have their day in court before putting them in.
We have a phone call. Have you heard the phone call with the concierge calling the police?
Yeah, I've heard the phone call of the yelling and the
she didn't bang her own face against the wall.
Yeah, I've heard there's banging on the wall.
She was downstairs, her nose and mouth there's blood coming out of them.
Yeah, so all's that to say, right? All's that to say, he's definitely. Yeah, no, I'm with you. I'm just saying. I'm saying though, right? And you get what I'm trying to say? Like, no. Allow someone to have someone's day in court. Like,
he's not going to have his day in court, Mike.
I guess that's fair. And you know what? I will say
what he will have is a date with Francis Ngannou.
He will have that, right? It's just what I'm trying to explain here is there's been cases in life where people have been accused of X, Y, and Z. They have their day in court, and it turns out there's either a reasonable explanation or charges get dropped or whatever, and then they're still living with the fact that they're called a wife beater or a rapist or a child predator when they, you know, went through the system and exonerated themselves. That's not John Jones. That's
okay,
not John
thank
Jones.
God. Thank you.
Right? But I'm just saying, like, let's also maintain that for someone who does want to maintain their innocence, right? No. That's what I'm trying to say. Right? Why not? Let's say tomorrow, one of us has some sort of charge pressed on us, something serious, and we maintain our innocence, right?
Do you have a history of this kind of behavior?
Like John Jones? No, but
then there you go.
I am putting out a full picture message, right? And I don't want to defend John Jones. I'm just saying, right? If someone maintains innocence, right, in certain cases, and they want to have their day in court, right? Let's not be quick to say this guy is X, Y, and Z until that day in court happens.
Well, I don't think he'll see his day in court.
Yeah,
quite frankly, I think
that's why I bring it up. Sorry, go ahead. Sorry.
No, go.
I was gonna say the reason why I bring it up is because John Jones has come on and said he did not hit his wife. Right?
She hit herself?
I doubt it. Yeah, I doubt it. But let's say this was, I don't know. I'm just throwing out a name. I'm not saying he does this. Joseph Benavidez, right? And he has his day in court. And it turns out it's not true, or the charges get dropped, or, things happen, right? I wouldn't want Joseph Benavidez living the rest of his life being called a wife beater when he did try to fight for his innocence. You get what I'm trying to say?
I'm willing to give that kind of latitude to Chuck Liddell. I am not willing to give it to John Jones.
Yeah, I was going to say, because if you're going to talk about Chuck Liddell's story, this is the exact same thing. But anyway, go ahead.
Speaking of which, guess who just got kicked out of the UFC for domestic abuse?
I had a thought on the John Jones situation.
Oh, go for it, Jeremy.
I feel as if we're trying to be morally guided in a capitalist society. Because if we have a problem with what John Jones did, then why does he still have a job? So it's like we're all going to watch his fights anyways, just like how I watch NFL every Sunday and half these guys got domestic abuse cases. So it's like,
well, I think he should be in prison, but I agree with you.
Every situation is different. So it's like, who are we to say, like, John Jones should be kicked out of his gym? Like, I get if you're the owner of the gym and you can't reconcile in yourself that you want to train this guy, and while knowing that he has this stuff against him. But to me, it's like, I know situations where guys get set up and their significant other uses the domestic abuse just because they have a vendetta against certain guys. So it's like,
it's fair. I personally know.
If we're all gonna watch this as entertainment, anyways, it's like,
where's David? Where's David when you need him?
No, I personally know stories.
I know, because I would want to hear David's response.
I
would want to hear David's response to what I'm saying.
Back me up here, please.
He could interject like something that I'm missing here, because it's like we're being morally guided, but we're all gonna watch his fights anyway. So I must be missing something here, because that's what's like.
Well, first of all, I will not pay for his fights, right? I will not pay. I will watch them, but I will not pay for them, right? Number one. Number two, I wish I could blow into some vagina-shaped conch shell and summon David, our feminist superhero.
No,
guys, Jeremy, point taken. Like, a lot of people are still going to watch his fights, not understanding that it's going to support him, even though they're watching him to see him get his ass beat. I agree that it's unfortunate that the UFC doesn't cut his ass, right? But they're guided by the mighty dollar, because they're like, well, if we cut him, Bellator is going to pick him up, right? I would like to see a world in which we are willing to uphold our moral standards, and John Jones is never able to fight in a major organization again. Genuinely, that's what I want to see.
Or until he apologizes. Sorry, there's a lot of feedback going on in somebody's end.
I don't care if he apologizes, quite frankly. I think that he laid hands on his wife.
Well, Ray Rice is a good example.
I don't care. I'm sorry. He laid hands on his wife.
What about Ray Rice? I
don't know who the fuck Ray Rice is.
Okay, so here's the story of
Greg Hardy.
Well, Greg Hardy, I'm with you on that as well. Okay, but like, there's a couple of points I want to say. Jeremy mentioned the point about being set up. There are cases of that. Sean Oakman got set up for sexual assault.
I think John Jones has been set up at every stage of his career.
Stefano, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm asking.
Why bring it up with regards to this particular case if it's not what you're saying? You're just muddying the waters.
I'm not muddying the waters. I'm having a deeper conversation, right? Because we've already gone past John Jones, right? But what I'm going to say is this: let's have this conversation. can someone have proper restitution for domestic violence? Is that a case-by-case basis? Is that like a no way Jose? Is that
Michael, can I just add something? I think you're right. I think we should, if we can't balance this whole moral side and capitalist side, we should let the justice system do it.
But that's the problem with domestic abuse cases. A lot of them, nothing happens until it's too late because of things like battered wife syndrome and battered wife syndrome is not bad. Stockholm syndrome, where you're, you have this weird
sympathizing with your abuser.
Yeah, like they're these people are master manipulators. And not only that, you're afraid for your life. And in tons of cases, nothing happens from the justice system until it's too late. There are tons of murders that take place because, our justice system isn't comprehensive enough, or because people didn't do something or say something. There's tons of women out there who are killed, men too, who suffer from domestic abuse, who are killed, and it's too fucking late for them.
Listen, I'm okay with John Jones never fighting again, as long as I can still watch mixed martial arts. If John Jones never fights because of this, if he gets cut because of this, I'm okay with it. Like, I'm okay with getting behind.
And you know what? The UFC cut Luis Pena.
Yeah, and they cut Luis Pena, but understand they cut Luis Pena because he's not very high on the card.
Because of money.
Right? Boom, there you go. Capitalism, and so, just like Jeremy said.
Exactly, and so Jeremy's right on that point. I'm just saying there's a lot of things here. I think there should be an intelligent conversation and an uncomfortable conversation. A lot of things on the spectrum should be pointed out here. A lot of examples should be pointed out here, and we can't just say, "Oh, why we." Not to like
if we want to watch Francis Ngannou and John Jones fight in the back of an alleyway where John Jones doesn't get paid, let's watch that. But I don't want to watch him get paid if we're all gonna sit here and say that he's a domestic abuser. Like I don't want to see him get paid.
I want him to get irreparable brain trauma, quite frankly.
But what I'm asking is this. What I'm asking is this, because I think we're all in agreement. What I'm asking is this: is there a world where if John Jones, let's say, changes, he won't because he has a history of this, but let's say he somehow, by some miracle, on some miracle, changes his life, dedicates some restitution, donates and volunteers at battered women's shelters, does what he has to do, and he decides to come back. Would you allow him to come back?
Maybe.
Fuck like no.
No?
See, I let Michael Vick come back, and I love animals. I let Michael Vick come back.
Fuck him too.
What?
Michael Vick can catch these hands.
I know he can't for you, Stefano. But I'm just saying, I think depending on every case is different. I think like there's a way that you can redeem yourself.
I agree. I agree with Jeremy in the sense that things need to be judged on a case-by-case basis, right? Like there are some cases on the fringe where it's like, look, I don't know. Was the Sajara Eubank situation necessarily the same? I don't know. I'm not sure, right? But
she's still fighting to this day. She's still
clearly with and she claims that she was the abused one. I don't know, right? But there are some situations where it's like there is no redemption. Like, oh, this guy shot up an orphanage, But you know what? He's been volunteering at orphanages since and serving at soup kitchens. I don't give a fuck. You deserve to be buried alive. I'm sorry. Like, there are things that you cannot come back from. Like, this rapist. Like, no, I'm sorry. That's it. You have to be a certain kind of fucked up to commit a crime like this. And there's no, I've learned from my actions, I've changed. No, not at all. Not at all. Like,
so you think this is the point of no return for John Jones?
I think so.
Okay.
All right.
Let's move on because we have other news.
Okay, fair enough.
I don't know too much about John Jones's domestic history, so I don't know. But if I trust Stefano's judgment that he might not be able, like he's not worth redeeming. But
his domestic history isn't really. I don't remember an instance of it being called out that he beat his wife or anything, but but he has had a lot of issues with the law, so that tends to, show me that when he drinks alcohol, he's not necessarily
okay.
Yeah, right.
Also,
okay.
Fuck Frank Shamrock too, by the way.
Oh yeah, because he did what he do with his dog. He did something. I can't remember.
tied his dog to a car at an airport and just left it there. So he can catch these hands too.
Yeah, that's
anyway,
messed up.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's.
Sorry.
I might shoot you because of that.
Yeah.
Same
Anyway,
here.
Sorry. Let's move on.
Wait, let's avoid a legal shoot. We might shoot you in Minecraft.
No. I didn't mean that. I didn't mean. I was.
No, in Minecraft, right, Jeremy?
Yeah.
In Minecraft. Okay, so
real life.
After that depressing news, I think we need something to make Mike come. Mike, are you ready to come?
All right, sure. I'm ready to come.
Jeff Neal versus Santiago Ponzinibbio, December 11th.
No.
This December 11th card, can I just...
Stacked. It's so sad.
I'm going to run through it for you guys really quickly. Really quickly.
I love Santiago Ponzinibbio.
We know, Mike. We know. So, let's see. I know I have it saved somewhere.
There was a poster that put up of all the fights that are on the card. It's looking juicy.
It's looking juicy. Look, between 268, 267, and December 11th, I'm willing to forgive the UFC for everything they've done. December 11th. Oh, I'm going to the November 6th card, by the way.
So, sorry, November 6th card. Oh, you're going to be in there. Oh, I thought you were talking about like Square Garden.
Okay. Oh, wow.
So, this December 11th card is shaping up. We got Oliveira, Poirier, Nunes, Pena, Edwards, Masvidal, Kai France, Cody Garbrandt, Pailovina, Sean O'Malley. We got Jeff Neal, Santiago Ponzinibbio, Pedro Munoz, Dominic Cruz, Andre Muniz, Dricus Duplessis, and the list goes on and on. But I'm going to see the debut of Pereira. Pereira on November 6th. So that is December 11th. Anything to say about that December 11th card? Or let's just talk about the Magny Ponzinibbio fight, maybe? I don't know.
Well, it got recently announced. Everyone here knows I'm a big fan of Santiago Ponzinibbio. One more time for the camera. Ponzinibbio. I wonder though, if I have to be real, I wonder if this is still the same Ponzinibbio. We really haven't answered the question. We know he's still tough. After that fight with that gentleman, what's his name? It was a really fun fight because he lost to Lee the Leech by KO. But then
his last fight, I thought he put on. It was a banger against. I can see his face in my head. Ecuadorian gentleman.
Yeah, but it was a great fight, and it was tough. But it still didn't answer if he still has that sharpness in his jab. Like he had one of the best jabs in the division back when he was before all the health issues, right? And the jab was still kind of there. But it seemed like the distance management was a little off, and granted that the kid he was facing was a stud.
On one leg essentially too. He was severely compromised in the first round with the calf kick and managed to push through and answer back with calf kick of his own.
Yeah,
definitely answer questions about his toughness.
Yeah, so he still got the toughness, but now is the sharpness going to come back? When is the sharpness going to come back? And you never know if it will ever come back, because keep in mind he is 30, I think at this point 34. So
we can hope. We hope that blood infection didn't take away the best years of his life.
Exactly.
So moving along, did someone say sloppy heavyweight banger? Augusto Sakai versus Tai Tuivasa announced.
Someone's getting knocked out.
I like me some sloppy heavyweight fights. Thick boy, fat fight. Next, we have Brad Riddell versus Rafael Fiziev. And interesting dimension about this fight is that they've sparred together at Tiger Muay Thai. There's clips that have come out. And all I can say is this is going to be fun.
True. Who got the better of those clips? I haven't gotten the chance to see. Like, if in your opinion.
The only clips that I've seen, it kind of seemed more like collaborative sparring than competitive in a sense, like exchanging of techniques. But it was interesting. Brad Riddell didn't look out of his element, I'll say that. So
True.
That's a fun one, December 4th. And then two big fights on the December 11th card. We've got Masvidal versus Leon Edwards. And
sorry. Go ahead.
No. And Moreno versus Figueiredo 3.
Let me just say that I'm tired of Leon Edwards being bullied into matchups. Like, I like this matchup a lot. I'm excited for this matchup, but I'm tired. I'm tired of him being bullied into matchups and no one's saying anything about it. So I'll say something about it, right? He's being bullied into another one. When he
seems like a big showcase fight for him, to be honest. This seems like a good big break for him.
But he didn't want to do it. And the reason why he didn't want to do it, because it was out of principle. For 3 years after he was assaulted backstage by Jorge Masvidal, right? He wanted to fight him. He didn't press charges. He wanted to fight, right? And Masvidal for 3 years kept ducking him. Well, not ducking him. That's not fair to say, because Masvidal had other matchups on the horizon. They are better money fights. It's the game. I understand. But you could read it as ducking, right? And now that Jorge Masvidal's lower on the rankings and Leon Edwards is maybe one win away from a title shot, maybe he gets a title shot outright after Colby Covington versus Kamaru Usman, now Jorge Masvidal wants to fight.
Mike, what I tell you, Edwards is not going to get a title shot off of that Diaz performance. Not going to happen.
Fair enough. But I just feel like would you give let's say the winner of, let's say Colby Covington or Kamaru Usman wins that fight. Was it November, whatever? I can't remember. November 20th, November. I can't remember the exact date, but I know it's
I'm 6th. I'm seeing it in person.
November 6th. Thank you. Right? Let's say one of them wins. They don't get an immediate title shot after. No, right?
If Colby wins, Kamaru will probably get an immediate shot afterwards.
Okay, if Kamaru beats Colby, then Colby's not getting an immediate. If Kamaru beats Colby's not getting an immediate title shot.
No, because then he's 0-2 against Kamaru. It wouldn't make sense.
It wouldn't make sense. And I think Kamaru's probably going to win, but whatever. I'm not gonna. We'll get to predictions as that looms forward.
Kamaru's fighting twice a year at most, though. So I mean.
Right.
This will be his second fight. It's towards the end of the year. I think Masvidal's not going to get a third shot after this.
No. But Gilbert Burns is definitely not above Leon Edwards in the pecking order.
Yeah. So
neither is Stephen Thompson. Neither is Stephen Thompson. Neither is Jorge Masvidal. Colby Covington, if let's say he were to lose, isn't going to be above Leon Edwards in the pecking order. So Leon Edwards is well within his rights to wait for a title shot if he so chooses. But he got bullied by everyone, the fans, the media, the company into fighting.
Boo-hoo. He's getting a showcase matchup against Masvidal. I think Leon Edwards is doesn't exactly have all the time in the world. He's getting older and he's been incredibly inactive, right? Whose fault is that? I don't know. But you got to stay active, especially if you want to beat someone of the caliber of Kamaru Usman. So I think he doesn't really have a choice, to be honest with you.
Fair enough. But I just don't like – I think it's a valid point you're making. I just don't like the way in which he's being told to have these matchups. It's not like they're bad matchups. I like them. They're fun. Like, I like the Nate Diaz matchup. I like the Jorge Masvidal matchup. It's just the way he's getting pressed into these matchups, for me, is not fair. And no one's kind of speak on his plight. So, yeah.
So I think that pretty much does us. Why don't we get into some Bellator MMA? MMA.
Hold on. We got some.
We don't do boxing, but we never do boxing news before MMA news, especially.
We just did MMA news.
Yeah.
I said we never do boxing before we do MMA.
What are you talking about? We always do.
No, we don't.
Especially if it's not that exciting. Like, if it's like wilder. Yeah, you've been living under a rock.
I'm going to go ahead and talk about the regional boxing shows.
Transition.
Wow. What a week of boxing we get to talk about today. All right. Friday night, WBC 126 pound champion, Emmanuel Navarrete successfully defended his title against Joel Gonzalez. And I just wanted to say, go check it out, because in the world of combat sports, this was a really good war that I think a lot of people will like. So And Emmanuel Navarrete is known for volume and power, but Joel Diaz, after losing to Shakur Stevenson, kind of lost some of his status. So, but this was a good comeback fight for him. So, he lost, but he showed a lot of heart. So, go check that fight out.
Let me ask you a question, Jeremy. In boxing, in the world of boxing, because you're in the circles, you kind of know how people talk. Are moral victories taken with the same kind of weight as, let's say, in MMA? Like in MMA, moral victories are huge, but yeah. So no.
No. It gives you weight amongst the hardcore fans, but in terms of the next time and your appeal and your draw for casual fans or maybe fans who check out boxers in your region of the world, once they see that you have a loss, not all fights, because around the world boxing is still pretty popular, but in a lot of regions, once you've lost a fight, you're damaged goods.
That's unfortunate, because
one thing we didn't even talk about, and we don't have to get into it now. Maybe after we do MMA is who else would you guys like to see Deontay Wilder fight? Or did we all talk about that?
We briefly touched on it a bit.
Did we? Okay, no.
Yeah. But you know what? Like maybe if you guys want us to talk about it again, ask us at thelegkick1@gmail.com or on our Instagram, or now Snapchat has questions that you can answer. So you can go on our not Snapchat. You can go on our Spotify and leave a comment down below. Ask us what you'd like to see. And we'll be answering that and replying. Any other exciting boxing news going on? Because I want Stefano to fall asleep.
The only big one I know is that November 6th, Canelo fights Caleb Plant. So watch out for that. But I can't think of anything.
Damn. So the UFC is going to go head-to-head with Canelo, and they're going to go head-to-head. So on
November 6th?
Yeah, because 267 is November 6th. Am I correct? Or am I tripping?
Yeah, I guess they will be going head-to-head. I mean, I don't expect any of you guys to, diverge from that hell of a card on the 6th, but
I mean,
it'll happen. So I mean, maybe if you have ESPN Plus, or is it going to be on? Yeah, it's going to be on ESPN. If you have ESPN Plus, they'll have it up there, so you can watch it after.
Yeah, Canelo will be on the Zone probably. Is he on the Zone?
No. His deal with the Zone, I think, is done.
Wow, so he's going to be on
ESPN or pay-per-view or something like that.
So, okay, well, I guess people could go picture-in-picture for that if they really want to. PBR one, watch the other. Well, good night, Combat Sports. All right. Let's, anyone ready to transition to Bellator MMA? I know Stefano's chopping at the bit. Transition.
Ding, ding.
All right, so Bellator MMA happened over the weekend, and we saw the semifinals of or quarterfinals. I never know how brackets work.
Semis.
We saw some kind of finals of the light heavyweight Grand Prix. I'd like to start off with the more shocking of these to me. Corey Anderson starching Ryan Bader in under a minute. And Bader, I mean, it seemed like Corey Anderson had his camp had put together something for Bader. It was kind of well studied because the punch that was countered was Bader's famous long left hook, the one that he knocked out Fedor with. A lot less wrestling than I expected to see in this fight, and a lot quicker. But Corey able to just glide back past that long straight left hook and counter with a right over the top.
Yeah.
I'm not mad at the stoppage. Bader was moving until he wasn't, and then Jason Herzog ended up stopping the fight. And no complaints here. No complaints here. I thought it was a good stoppage by my liking, and I don't have much to say, guys. Anything?
I thought it was a real rookie. I thought it was a real rookie mistake how he just jumped in there like that. I personally thought he was confused by the tricky footwork of Anderson, and I think, yeah, he miscalculated his first punch thrown or his first exchange that he wanted to get into.
Interesting. I mean, yeah, like, like you don't really see, like, Corey Anderson is not really known for, like, pulling and then coming over the top with something. Like, Corey Anderson's more of like a grindy type fighter, if I remember correctly. Like, it's not to say that his boxing hasn't improved over the years. I mean, keep in mind this is a guy who's come from losing to Jean Vellante, to now being kind of to being knocked out by Open St. Peru, to now being kind of a serviceable striker. But yeah, definitely he was moving his head a lot more. He was lighter on his feet, and he hit a nice perfect punch. I will say, is it just me, or does the Bellator fighters, it's maybe the gloves, but their punches look a lot more loopier than in the UFC. I think it's maybe the gloves, they're just so big and like they're white, and like they're just so, it just seems like the punches come out from like weird angles. But definitely, yeah.
I think Bader tends to be was always kind of a loopy striker, to be honest. But yeah, Bader. I mean, Anderson moves on, and in the other bracket, he's going to be facing Vadim Nemkov, who made it through a little bit of trouble against a late replacement. If you guys recall, Angliscus stepped in because Anthony Johnson had to have some kind of emergency surgery. He wasn't disclosed what it is, but apparently it's really serious. And Angliscus gave him some trouble early just because it seemed like Nemkov, for some reason, decided to wind up an uppercut from the hip, and Angliscus just fired straight down the pipe, caught Nemkov, sat him down. But from then, it was more or less just a wrestling clinic.
Yeah. It seemed like Nemkov. Man, I don't know. There's something going on with my headphones, but sorry about that, guys. But it seemed like Nemkov really, in the beginning, wanted to land that 1-2, 1-2 uppercut. He wanted to land that either one rear uppercut, left hook, right? And he got caught for it because Anglicus, it seems like his style. I haven't really heard much about the kid up until, he's 30, but I didn't hear much about the dude up until recently, and I watched a couple of his fights, and it seems like that's kind of the way he fights. He likes to counter, he likes to stay tight, and then look
for guard. Yeah, very Muay Thai type guard, but
yeah. And so he caught him early, and then Nemkov kind of decided to go to the path of least resistance and take the cat down. So that was interesting.
Nemkov did a good job of baiting Angliscus into takedowns, just exchanging jabs with him, and then when Angliscus would throw back, he'd be underneath. He had a really nice belly-to-back suplex in, I believe, the second round to put Angliscus down, and man, I thought I could have easily been stopped in that round. Just excellent ground and pound from full guard. Good use of the can opener, rolling elbows over the top, just very active, classic body head stuff. Stuff you'd expect from a prodigy of Fedor, to be honest with you. And it in the later rounds took more of a jiu-jitsu focused approach and actually ended up getting a victory by Kimura, which isn't something you see every day. The classic, he went for, it just showed what, other than that one moment, what a skill differential there was, because, if you're going for these kinds of arm bars and willing to give up top position, it just shows that there's no jiu-jitsu threat from your opponent. But, the finish came with that north-south Kimura sitting on top of the head. I thought they were going to stop it at the crucifix, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I think honestly, you could have ended it a lot of times. Like, there was that third round onslaught where Anglicus just kind of seemed like he was laying on his back surviving. And then the fourth round, it just kind of seemed like he I think the telling thing of like a guy who just kind of is trying to survive is when you're in like basically Kezakatami, and you got like kind of a crucifix. He didn't really have the crucifix just yet at this point, but you're in Kezakatami, right? And the guy on the bottom is not even bucking his hips to try to give some sort of resistance on it. He's just kind of putting his hands up, trying to survive. So I'm with you. There were a couple times that this fight easily could have been stopped, but hey, Kimura and The Kimura goes in over the top of the head, and yep, and it's a fait accompli. You know.
Your girl Randy Fields got knocked out on the undercard, eh?
I did see that. You know, she's not my girl no more. She's banished. No. I saw a couple fights from her on the regional scene, and I was a fan of her toughness and a fan of punching power. So she could bounce back. She could easily bounce back. But it definitely was a step up in competition for her, and I think
both these girls were 2-0.
Yeah. Yeah. So like, yeah, Bellator is still like, they're slowly but surely moving off of this, but they're still, what's the word? And the UFC, it does this too, but there is definitely the, I call it the model division, of female fighting, where, let's be honest, if Randy Fields didn't look like Randy Field, does she, with a 2-0 record, get into Bellator? Well, maybe Bellator, but does she get into, like, let's say a higher promotion? Let's really call it a buck, right?
Yeah, obviously, and the same thing with I forgot her name. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Valley Laredo, same stuff,
right? They would ask the girls, those girls,
easy on the eyes, light on talent,
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't go that far with the light on talent. Fair enough.
I'll say it, Mike. Don't worry. I'll say it.
The opinions expressed are by one Stefano Hosko and and not indicative
mail to Michael Asiffo at
gmail.com. But yeah, I think I think unfortunately the problem with when you get like a Valerie Laredo or like a Randy Field, for example, is there are legitimate athletic things that you can take and say, hey, with a little more seasoning, they can be something.
Or the presence of grappling.
The presence of grappling,
The presence of fundamental aspects of MMA, you could be something.
For example.
Hey, Mike, this guy I found off the street, if we just gave him striking, jiu-jitsu, wrestling, toughness, and years of experience, he'd be great.
And a chin. No, but you get what I'm trying to say. Like there are some athletes. There's a lot of good athletes who like come into the gym and you're like, whoa, they could be pretty good. They just need to season, right? They need time. And this isn't necessarily indicative of Randy Field in her fight. I'm just kind of throwing a soliloquy out here because we can, the UFC card wasn't very good. But I think Bellator and the UFC need to stop doing this with these female fighters, where they put them in when they're clearly not ready to do it. And yeah, like that's just kind of my thoughts on that.
Okay, so with that out of the way, speaking of light on talent, the UFC's card.
Wait, can we talk about my boy Yagsy? My boy Yagsy lost.
Oh yeah, and Vincent Henderson fought 2 against Brent Premise. That was actually a very fun fight.
I didn't like that fight, to be honest with you.
Okay, all right. Quickly sound off on Yagsy, then we got to move on to the UFC because we're already an hour into this. So.
Oh, are we?
Yeah,
okay.
A few sentences on Yagsy Murdoch.
Yeah, Yagsy lost. The guy I vicariously lived through. 5'10", 205er who throws spin kicks. I think. The experiment is young, but we are starting to see kind of the difficulties he does have with length in the division. And that's unfortunate, but, the fight wasn't exactly like not close. It was 29-28 on all 3 judges' scorecards, but it is looking like he's having trouble. And if you're having trouble against Albertson, then imagine what you're going to have trouble against with Bader and Nemkov and if Yoel Romero comes back to form and Mr. Wonderful. So, yeah, that's all I have to say on that.
All right, so with Bellator out of the way, damn, what a sad world when Bellator is our marquee event of the weekend. Oh, and real quickly, I'm in mourning after Giorgio Petrosian lost.
Oh, yes, to Superbon.
Yeah, I don't want to talk about it. Anyways.
He kind of got dominated a little bit, no? Okay, sorry.
I don't want to talk about it. Anyways, UFC card, I mean, Jeez. Aspen Ladd just seemed bereft of ideas. Norma Dumont clearly has hand speed and a decent jab and half decent footwork enough to land a jab away to the right, cross counter. But both these women just seemed kind of bereft of ideas. It was kind of just like Aspen Ladd was at a speed disadvantage and was like, what now? And for 3 or 4 rounds, just was content to eat the odd jab to the face. Norma Dumont, well, she, he's like, what, my odd jab isn't going to knock Aspen Ladd bundle her up to the floor? Like, I don't understand. It just seemed like both of them didn't really have any ideas for how to really progress the fight much further. Even in the later rounds, Aspen Ladd kind of just resorting to bum rushing forward. She had a decent butterfly guard sweep in the 4th round. I don't know what to say. It was a long fight where not a lot actually happened.
Yeah. It wasn't good. Credit to Aspen Ladd's corner, who tried their best to get Aspen Ladd to open up a little bit. But this kind of seems kind of par for the course for Aspen Ladd. If you don't give her much to bite on, besides kind of distance management, she gets confused. This is kind of like what Aspen Ladd does.
A double jab, a kick counter to the low kick, something. Timing a shot under punches, like, something, please, for the love of God, Also, a little bit of sexism on the corner team, on the commentary team, her corner's yelling at her to do something, and they're like, I don't know, it's just, Michael Bisping, it's just going to make us sensitive and turn inwards, I don't think they say that if it's a male fighter, to be honest with you. I really don't. I know I'm playing the role of David today, but
yeah, you did that a couple times here. No,
that was a little weird for me. It's like if her corner's over here yelling at, like, I don't know,
a male equivalent.
I don't think Michael Bisping's like, it's just going to get him to get all sensitive and turn inwards and crumble and not be able to fight properly. It's like, no, this is a professional athlete in a main event, and they're not doing anything, and you're trying to.
I gotta say, the commentary had a rough night on both cards. Like, I thought Big John, like, I didn't realize how bad Big John was at commentary.
He's not good.
Yeah, and it was kind of distracting. And Michael Bisping had an uncharacteristic off night too, to be honest. So I didn't catch it because by that point I was so kind of phased out with the commentary. But I get the way you're phrasing it does seem a little sexist. Yeah.
As Jack Slack says it about Big John, he's podcasting the whole time. Like an interesting fight will be going on, and Big John and Mike Goldberg was obviously the worst, but they'll be talking about somebody's high school wrestling acumen or something, or oh, you remember when this happened? It's like, guys,
fights happening.
What's that?
But it's like, guys, fights happening,
Yeah. Andrei Arlovsky looked like he had a good opening to the fight, able to keep. What is his opponent's name, for God's sakes? He's just
something.
Yeah, he's fat Brazilian heavyweight number 16, in my view. Him, Augusto Sakai, they all blend into one person.
Augusto Sakai is a little better than Philippe,
Well, Andrei Arlovsky showed that with bad cardio, anything's possible. I mean, he started off this fight jabbing off of both stances, stepping on that lead leg, really working to establish the calf kick and keep, Felipe off of him. And then just somewhere along the lines melted while having a very modest output and was just exhausted. And I mean, his opponent seemed to have nothing other than a jab overhand, and Arlovsky still, despite showing decent head movements in the early going, slipping under the right hand, still managed to eventually get tired, back himself up to the cage, and become fodder for that same combination. Stuck around in exchanges after he should. He forgot that he was supposed to kick. He forgot that he was supposed to fight off of both stances. So with cardio, anything's possible, and he wins the split decision.
He won a a
close unanimous decision.
Yeah, that third round though looked a little, but yeah, no, I think you're right. This is clearly
Mike, you're muted. Mike, you're muted. Mike and Jeremy, you're both muted.
That's okay. Sorry.
Clearly what?
Clearly, with Andre Arlovski, there, he is getting up there in age, and with age comes cardio deficiency. So, if you're surprised that, he's kind of gassing out after putting out a lot of output, being 230 something pounds at this point.
But Mike, not even that much output. 1, 2, the guy's not 80 years old, right? If
what is he, 42 at this point? He's 42?
Okay, if Alistair Overeem can keep up a modest output over that long at 265, you can't. It's,
Fair enough.
He did throw a good, one thing that I liked that he used to cover a lot of distance was that stance switching cross, which he follows up into a jab left hook on that same side. That was a good distance cover. Anything else you want to talk about on this card? What was the fight under it?
Jim Miller getting his first KO since 2016. Admittedly, not the best competition, but
yeah, I tuned in towards the end of this and I just saw the finish and I'm like, God damn, I don't know who he's facing, but his opponent just threw the most
naked,
the worst crescent kick you could possibly show. Outside crescent kick, which you got to be snappy, you got to be in range, and he just throws that outside crescent kick he's got a sponge taped to the bottom of his foot and he's trying to detail his car or something, just misses our Miller by a mile, and then Miller just sits down on a left cross, and that was all she wrote. So good for Miller, with Lyme's disease, able to do this at a very advanced age as well. So come back to talk.
No, I appreciate it. Good fight. Jim Miller, ageless wonder. So it's always fun to see Jim, the old guys, get a good win every once in a while. And yeah, if he's, what is it? UFC 267 is coming up. Seems like he could go on forever. You'd really hope if he gets that record of being in 3 different UFC generations of 100, 200, 300. But never. But yeah, I was kind of intrigued that he's still fighting and still pulls off every once in a while a good knockout.
So, with that being said, I think that pretty much covers everything that was worth covering. Guys, we promise we'll have better content next week. We've got a good card coming up with Paulo Costa versus Marvin Vettori. That's
not bad. That's not bad. But the rest of the card is not good.
Is it not good? Let's have a look.
Yeah, the rest of the card is not good.
It is Glenn. That's fun. And then that's about it. Yeah, Jocelyn Edwards on a main card. No, thank you. Ronaldo's back. Ooh, Alex Caceres on a main card. Ike Villanueva on a main card. Who's on the undercard, for God's sakes? Me?
I mean, if you want to be. Jai Herbert's on the card again. He's fighting Carmel. That's not bad. That should be bad. Yeah. Right.
Provided Kama doesn't try and take him down, that'll be fun.
Can you imagine? What's it called?
Oh, guys, I wanted to say something very important. Do you hate pay-per-views? I hate pay-per-views. I think they're an outdated mode of showing the fights. Do you not?
Fair.
Okay. Yeah.
And Jeremy, you're with me, right?
Well, I don't know exactly why it's outdated. I just know that the cheaper option is. I just know I don't want to pay for pay-per-views.
It's quite frankly, I think it limits the amount of people that see it because not everyone's going to be willing to spend that much money, right, to see a pay-per-view. I mean, if the pay-per-views were cheaper, if it's $20, I think you could really expand the amount of people watching it. Now, UFC is giving away, and I'm not trying to shill here. I'm trying to say, think strategically, my friends. UFC is giving away UFC 267 for free with an ESPN Plus subscription.
Yeah.
You can watch it for free if you sign up for it.
Uh-oh.
Jeremy for free. You know what?
I'll mute him. I got him. I'll mute him.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. All right. So.
Don't kick him out. I muted him.
No, man. He's too much. He's more trouble than he's worth today.
Oh, God. All right. So, go ahead.
Vote Vote with your dollar, my friends. The UFC is showing this card free on ESPN Plus, right? If you sign up for ESPN Plus to watch this card, you're telling the UFC that it's viable, that if you pay $9.99 a month, you can watch any UFC card that you want and they can make more money from it. Does that not sound like a better world to you? Because that sounds like a better world to me. So sign up for a free trial of UFC, ESPN Plus to see UFC 267.
So, okay, so in terms of your, what do we call it? The vote with your dollar. I'm not gonna lie, I'm not rolling with it. I'm a little more cynical. I think the UFC is just gonna kind of do whatever they want. Maybe in the distant future, I can see kind of what you're explaining, but
it's the most cynical approach possible. If the UFC sees they'll be able to make more money doing this, they'll do it.
Right, but
they're not trying to service us for the sake of saying thank you for being great fans. If they see that massive uptick in subscribers for ESPN Plus because they offer an actually great card on it,
No, it's fair. Like I don't know. Like I just feel like they go with whatever the most, like, what's the word I'm looking for? They're gonna go with whatever the most money goes in their pocket, and it does seem yeah, but they have like a 2-tiered system. It's like, okay, if you pay ESPN Plus and you pay extra, right? Well, then you get more money than, for example, just getting ESPN Plus. Right?
Not if ESPN Plus can massively increase the amount of revenue. It's like it's limiting doing it for this model because not everyone's willing to pay $60 for a pay-per-view, especially, only hardcore fans are probably going to be willing to do that. So it's simple. It's like, how many people are subscribed to Netflix? A hell of a lot more people than buy UFC pay-per-views. You get a lot of content and you get it for a smaller price, but you expand the amount of people that you
I could see that. Like if you get like a lot more people down the road, like who do subscribe to ESPN Plus outright, but you have to understand what they're, as of right now, what it is, you subscribe to ESPN Plus, and then through ESPN Plus, you pay extra for the numbered events.
Well, no, in this case, it's free with ESPN Plus. So
exactly.
What I'm saying is, if there's a massive uptick in the amount of people signing up for ESPN Plus as a result of this event being free, the UFC will take note of that. That's all I'm saying.
I know. That's what I'm trying. But what I'm trying to explain is that right now they get, theoretically speaking, they get more money having this 2-tiered system.
Yes, right? Mike, I understand, but it's limiting is what I'm saying, and they could be making more money. They're at a stage where they're limiting the amount of people they can be exposed to. So they're at like a safe, comfortable wedge, but they've kind of plateaued with this particular model is what I'm saying.
Fair enough. Like, okay, I get where you're going with it now a bit, right? Also, another note that should be kept of note is that ESPN does give them a certain amount of money if they just kind of reach a certain number. So they're kind of not in a position to do that, But I do think it does kind of give a note that, like, if let's say that deal with ESPN does end and they're up for a renegotiation, and I could see a world where you are right? I see a world where you are kind of making sense. But right now,
only one way to find out.
So let's call it a day.
Fuck the children. Sign up for the podcast. Like, subscribe. There's Faustine. Love you all. Thank you. Big kiss.
Right.
3 things in this world, Mike. What are they?
They are Jeremy leaving us, you leaving us, and this podcast. Take it easy, everybody.